Welcome to the Army Empire Podcast, your go-to podcast for insightful tips on investment strategies, entrepreneurship, and all things money matters. Join Bernard Alerte, your guide on this journey to financial freedom. Each episode will dive into expert advice, practical strategies, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your financial future. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned investor, we've got something for everyone. So get ready to unlock your financial potential and make your money work for you. And now, let's welcome your host, Bernard Alerte.
Hello, hello.
Hey Liz, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Coach?
Very excited. Very excited. Finally, the World Cup is coming to an end soon.
have you been addicted to the games?
Not really, because a lot of them are during the day, so I kind of, I get.
You have it like on the side, and that's your background.
I try not to because it's distracting. So I catch once in a while and stuff. I have like a chat with my a lot of my cousins. So like cousins from somewhere France, so a lot of them in Canada, somewhere, and all over the places and stuff. That's so awesome. We actually troll each other because they all support different countries, and I like having fun with them, so it's good. It's coming to an end.
Yeah. I think France was playing today. Weren't they just playing today?
Yes. They played today against Spain. They lost against Spain. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, they were making a lot of noise here while I was cooking the game. Well, Coach, what is our topic for today? I see here an awesome one that has to do with investing.
Yes, we talked about a lot of investing last week, ways to invest, the strategies. But we want to talk about, let's say, one of the concerns people have is when you're close to retirement. What are some things to look for when you're about to retire? What are some concerns people have? People like things that people overlook sometimes when they're about to retire that cause them to not to have a great retirement, best retirement possible. Things they overlook and things to look for. Things they can catch on early enough and plan early enough, right? So by the time they retire, at least they can have, there's nothing perfect, but at least they can have an idea, be able to work things out that way. So that's something we want to absolutely 100%.
Yeah. So we're focusing with folks who are very close to retirement age.
Close to retirement within a 10-year, I guess a 10-year. It could be even sooner than that, but 10-year things that people overlook when you look at it, but at least within a 10-year time frame, 10 to 15 years to look for, or sooner. So if you think of playing for retirement, whether you're retiring now and a few years down the road, you have to make sure you're on track to live the retirement of your dreams. Okay. See, no matter where you are, armed with this simple yet powerful retirement information, you can learn to avoid the mistakes that so many other people make. For example, one of the mistakes people make is they underestimate the number of years your retirement might last. They underestimate that. For example, for an average person, and we're going to talk about longevity, that's something that people are concerned with. You got to make sure you plan enough. You might listen. People say, "Well, I may not live," but what if you do? What if I may not live long? What if you do? The worst thing that can happen is you're older. Then there's not that much. You don't have ways to make up for it. That's the first thing, right? Number one, retiring without accumulating big enough nest egg, not underestimating how much money you need to have for retirement. It's better to overfund your retirement than underfund your retirement.
Ooh, that's good.
Exactly. It's better to have more than you need than not having enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that's important. The number 2, which happens a lot, withdrawing too much too soon, taking too much money out early, right? Because what happens is a lot of times is people when they retire, for example, like, oh my gosh, I want to travel. They want to do all the things they couldn't really do while they were working. Like traveling, I want to buy this and travel and spend. And a lot of times they don't take consideration in the future. We're drawing too much. We have situations like that happen, right? Not understanding retirement risks. There's a lot of retirement risks, right? And which is also, and the last one is more tech, spending your asses down incorrectly and more. Right? Spending assets down incorrectly. And we're going to go over all these pretty much.
Okay, good. Because I was just about to say, give me an example of that one, but you're going to teach that.
Exactly. Okay. Let's look at the next one. For example, before you retire, you have to ask yourself a question. What age would you like to retire? right? That's number one. And how much savings do you think you'll need, right? And you have to consider all the what ifs, right? Here are the main risks that you should consider before you retire. Number one is longevity risk, right? How long you might live, right? For an average person. Market risks, right? And also inflation risk. People underestimate the cost of inflation, how much inflation will be down the line at retirement. Sometimes it can mean a big difference the longer you stay in retirement. Makes sense? Which is important. So those are the three risks, and we're going to talk about all three of those, right? Pretty much. Number one, longevity risk, right, is the possibility, which is one of the biggest concerns that people have, is not losing money, but outliving your money.
Right.
Your money, right? And while life expectations on the rise, running out of money could pose a genuine threat to financial security. People living out longer now than back then. Back then, it wasn't that much of a challenge, because what happens back then, let's say, even like in the 70s or 80s, right? For example, a lot of people, the expectancy was 70 years old for a lot of people. Like, for instance, people retire like 60, by 70. A lot of people, majority passed away, unfortunately, right? But now people living so much longer with technology, with health, people living so much longer. So if you look at men live to 77 or more, right? Women live to 82. It's crazy how women outlive men. I don't know why, but women outlive men, right? That happens. 82 Canada, you see different countries, 85. So that's a big risk. So if you think about it, if you retire at 60, 65, you need enough money to last you 20 plus years. 20 plus years. And I look at, for example, my mother's 84 right now, but she's great health. She's in great health. She's functionally and stuff. Her hearing could be a little bit off, right? Hearing, but other than that, she has a little challenge walking. But I feel like she's a healthy, no real health issues, pretty much, So there's people living a lot longer right now. So it's a major concern. People have to consider that. You got to consider to make sure you have enough money to last you a long period of time.
Yeah, your money will run out before you even pass away.
Exactly. Imagine you start running out of money and then you're 77, 75, 80. What do you do? You end up going back to work, trying to find work. It's not a good position to be in. But if you take the planning early enough, right, that makes a huge difference. That makes a difference for the average person. So those are the risks a lot of people have to consider, right? Let's look at the next risk, right? Market risk, right? See, once you retire, you should continue to diversify your portfolio in retirement, just as you did while you were still working, right? The fact that no one can be sure whether you retire in a bull market or bear market. We talk about what a bull market is. A bull market is a prolonged period, right, where investment prices rise faster than historical average. Bull markets can happen as a result of economic recovery, economic boom, and investor psychology. Right now, we're in a bull market, right? Past couple of years, because the market has gone up past couple of years. Yes, a good place to retire, but also a bear market. A bear market is a prolonged period in which investment prices fall, come by widespread pessimism, right? Bear markets usually occur when economies in a recession, unemployment is high, inflation is rising quickly, right? Like in 2008, during that time, we're in a bear market. So if someone retired during that time, that could be challenging. So you have to consider that. And the reason it's important for you to consider that, because one of the things that people used to say, the recommendation that people used to say, like a lot of I used to give back in the days, is, when you retire, you need to put all your money, for example, and conservative, right? Be very, 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 very conservative. Take your money out of the market. Take your money out of mutual fund. Put it in bonds. Some conservative, because you can't know. And that's the biggest mistake that people make. You need to have, and we're going to show you a difference that would make, in other words, right? If you look at the next slide, right? If you look at investing for long term, 1 year time frame, let's talk about it. Historically, the market has rewarded patience for long-term investing. We talked a lot about that last week, right? We're more positive years than negative years, right? If you look at the record of a positive result during over a calendar period, for example, from January 1941 to December 39 to 25, right? 1 year time period, there's been 67 positive periods and 18 negative periods, right? So during that time frame, they've been 67, but 18. But if you look at the 3 year time frame, right? 3-year time periods. So, for example, what does that mean? Let's say from 1941 to 1944, 1942, all these, that's what they kind of measure, right? Those different,
Right.
all the way to 2025, you have 75 positive periods and 8 negative periods, right?
Mhm.
In other words, 5-year time frame, 7. Do you have a lot more? But the thing that can happen, what if you retire during those negative periods? Let's say you happen to retire. What to do during that time, right? 10-year time frames, a lot more, 74 and 2. And if you look at 20-year time frames, 65 and 0 periods. So what does that actually mean? If you look at it, it's something to take a look at. For example, let's say someone's retiring at 60 and what do you call that? Let's say 65 or 60 or 65. Now they're going to live till 80, 85, for example, that their life expectancy. So that's a 20-year time frame. So 20-year time frame, if you think about it, right? Or 15-year, let's say a 10-year, 20-year time frame. So most people are going to phase out. So if you think about it, you got to have a market, mutual funds, part of what? A major part of your investments.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
if you don't, you're going to miss out on growth. And this is a way you can run out of money, because that's why you have to have the market still part of your investment profile. So you can't just take all your money and put it in conservative. You can't do that. It's not a smart thing to do, because of historically over a long period of time, you're gonna be okay for 10-year and 20-year time frames. Make sense?
Wow.
A lot
Wow.
of people most people are gonna retire, are gonna be on, right?
Oof.
It's important. Let's look at inflation. Inflation is going to rise every single year. Let's just call it what it is. Some people say it's never flat. It's always going up. Even if it stays flat for a little bit, it's going to jump up a little year. The cost of living goes up every year. Let's just call it what it is. It's not. Listen,
Sure.
we'll never pay $2 a gallon anymore. That's never going to happen. Okay, that is never going to happen. We'll never pay $2 a gallon. That's never going to happen. I don't know, people wish, someone's going to come in, and no, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. We pray it's never going to happen. Number one, a gallon of milk will never be under $1 or $1.50. That's never going to happen. It's only going to go up. It's not going to go down. Right? Your house is not going to drop down by 20% in the next 10 years. House is not going to be a lot less. It's not going to happen. Right? So if you think about inflation, is a rise to general level of price over a period of time, which can erode your money's purchasing power. Right? So that's the rise of prices. For example, if you look at it today, a 10,000, if someone's need $10,000 to live on today, right? Every year, 5 years, they will need to make 11,600. Keep up with inflation. 13,400, 15,000, right? 18,000, 20,000. You see, right? 30 years, 24,300. Right? You see a big difference. So let's say, for example, someone's at retirement right now, right? Now they're living on 10,000, but 10 years, they will need to have 13,400 to be able to have the same lifestyle, right? So for example, if you look, even a 15-year time frame, right? So if someone's retired 60, 65, now they're living on 10,000. Now they're 80 years old. They're still living at 80 years old. They need to have the same lot. They need to make 15,600. Now, obviously, they're not working. They're not going out there working. So guess what happens? What needs to make up for that? Your money needs to grow to make up for that rise in inflation.
Right.
So you have to have your money grow over that period of time. Makes sense? You can't have this. You can't take all your money and put it conservative. You can't do that, because you're going to lose out on purchasing power, and that's going to hurt you in the long run. So you have to make the market a major part, probably 80, 90% still.
Wow.
Still of your investment strategy over a period of time, which is so important. So those things, that's more. When considering retirement, it's very important to look at, number one, your life expectations during retirement, estimated source of income. You need to look at that also. Estimate living expenses you're going to have, right, to discover whether you're ready to retire or not. You'll need to retire in the lifestyle you've always imagined. Ask yourself, as a rule of thumb, how much money do I need? Right? Most people will need between 80% to 100% of their gross income during the early retirement years. Why? Because debts such as income, car, credit cards may not be paid off. Very rarely, which I see someone that's retired, that's totally debt free, don't have a mortgage. Some people, they still have a mortgage when they retire. A lot.
Mhm.
If you're making 50, 60, 70, 80,000 dollars a year and you're working, you still need to have the same income coming in when you retire for at least for a period of time.
Right. Right.
Right? You for a period of time. And a lot of people underestimate that. And if you look at it, Social Security is only 1,000 less than 2,000 a month. So it's not gonna make up for it.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is why you have to think about these things. People have to think about when you retire. I need to have the same kind of income coming in. That's why people are underfund their retirement, right? And underestimate how much they need for retirement because of that.
Right. That
Right.
makes complete sense.
So you gotta have that, right? So if you look at the next slide, now this is what we talk about real quick. You have to do have you coming enough for that? This is why it's important to have a financial needs now done early enough to figure out how much you need, age, retirement, current, how much you have saved up. This is why you do financial needs analysis early enough, you'll be able to find number one, how much asset you have right now, how much you'll go over a period of time, how much income you need at retirement, expenses at retirement, where your asset allocation is. Because sometimes I'll sit down with someone, they have a 401k, and although I can't do anything, they're still working there. I can't move the money, but sometimes they're under they're very how can I say, they're very conservative, and I was like, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna feel it a lot later on in life. So you have to make sure. I asked them, listen, let me see your profile. Let me see how much you have saved up. Let me see where it's allocated. And I'll tell them, listen, change those funds. This is too conservative. You don't need to be 50% balanced, 50% investor. You need to be a little bit more aggressive because you have a little bit more time. You need to take advantage of dollar cost. We talked about dollar cost averaging last week. Take advantage, especially if you're contributing money on a weekly basis or every 2 weeks, to take advantage of that. So those are things that are important. That's why it's important for everyone to have financial needs analysis to estimate how much they need for retirement.
Yep. And that QR code is right up there. That's the QR code that you
Absolutely.
want. So you could get one.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's so good.
So if you look at the next slide, right, number one, what will I be spending my money on? Those are potential monthly income sources you're going to have. Social Security is one of them. Employer pension payments, if you qualify for that, most likely not for most people, right? Qualified retirement plan, which is if you have IRAs or 401ks you have, right? Non-qualified retirement plans, if they have money saved up, right? Real estate income, post-retirement employment, they're working, investment income, other income. So those are the where most potential monthly income sources, right? Now, what are the expenses that people have? Housing, mortgage, insurance, tax, and maintenance. Let's call it what it is. Taxes go up. Property tax go up every year. I mean, we're looking to find a way to reduce, but chances are it's not going to happen. I've never seen in I know in Florida trying to do something in Florida, but I've never seen in most states where property taxes go down.
Yep.
I've never seen in being in a financial field, I've never seen not one time where somebody's property taxes go down.
For sure.
I've never seen it happen, right? Never seen it happen. Those expenses people are gonna have: utilities, water, phone, right? Taxes, right? Groceries. Those are transportation, gas, something, health. This is something that's we're gonna talk about that also. That happens a lot, right? Personal injury premium, things like that, and entertainment, travel. Those are things. Those are expenses most people are going to have at retirement. So you have to consider those expenses.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
I think my husband said here that this episode is to scare you straight.
100%.
Make it happen. Make it happen.
100%. And you have to estimate which ones can stay the same or go down. But if you think how much of those can actually go down, if you pay off your mortgage, maybe you may not have mortgage. If you've done that, for most people, they haven't done that. Utilities and water, rarely that can go down that much. Taxes, you can't control that, right? Groceries, eat less. I don't know. Grow your own food. I mean, what do you do? You can't do much with that. Gas is not gonna go down. Health costs, insurance is gonna go up, right? As time go by, right? Entertainment, travel, you maybe cut down on that, but other than that, there's not that much that will go down for most people. So for a lot of people, the same expenses, the lifestyle they have when they're working, they need to have it all the way throughout their life, most likely, right? And this is one of the biggest retirement expenses people realize is health care. Many,
Yes.
many people are retiring early or enjoying longer, more productive lives, right? However, they tend to underestimate the potential cost of involving healthcare. So compare your retirement expenses. You have to consider, yeah, listen, our bodies are not made to get healthy as we get older. Let's call it. So as you get older, you're gonna have more
Deteriorate.
doctors, more expenses, more out-of-pocket things that's gonna come. I was taking my mom to the doctor. She was doing some tests. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I had to pay 500, 600. I'm paying 400, 500, 600 a month extra because healthcare and things like that. And she had to pay extra things." But think about if someone, I mean, unfortunately, she's able to, because she planned early, she's able to deal with that. But for a lot of people, they're not. To keep an average person a fixed, imagine an extra $500 expenses happen in healthcare. They can't, it's hard to do that.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't go to the doctor. They're like, "Oh, I can't go to the doctor because I can't afford a copay. I can't afford this test," and things like that. So those are the things that happen for even though with Medicare and all these different still.
Yeah. Because
Even
the older you get, the more you have to see a doctor, the more you have to go to the dentist. Like, think about it. The older you get.
yes, it's challenges your vision and hearing, all these different things that affect us as we get older. Makes sense.
Really.
So people underestimate that, So this is why with that, don't spend so much money early because you're gonna have to plan for extra expenses. For average person, it could be an extra 1,500, an extra 1,000. If you're lucky, for most people, an extra 1,000 or 1,500 extra a month that you will spend on healthcare, on expenses, which is something to we have to consider that,
Yeah, that bottom part right there of the slide, that more than half of American workers agree that cost of healthcare is negatively impacting their ability to actually save for retirement.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's the truth, and people have to consider that, So this is why it takes a lot of planning to be able to do it, that right. I mean,
Mhm.
well. How do you predict, right? How do you predict? Will you be able to predict market performance when a bull bear market, right? However, when you retire, you're being taken. So let's say if you have 500,000, you start taking 25,000 out, right? For example, right?
Mhm.
This is the returns of a bull market, right? How much you have left, the account value, right? It makes a big difference. But it doesn't, if you look at it, if you reverse it, what it says is the chart right now shows a story of two retirees. One begins with 500,000, right? All being 500,000, right? And withdraws 25,000, which is 5% withdrawal rate a year, right? And guess what? Retirement A, take into account withdrawal during the early positive returns. When they have positive returns in the market, right? If retirement B is they flip it around. If you look at the numbers, they flipped it around. So if you look at it, the amount is a big difference over after that period of time.
Yep. Wow.
Over 100,000 difference. So you really can't predict whether you retire in a bear market, bull market. Those are things you have to consider.
Mhm.
Also, makes sense, which is very important, right? So if you look at, and I'm like, this is a very complicated slide, but it tells you, for example, that even if you take withdrawal, it shows you that, for example, if you look at 100% bond, how much it will last you, right? How much you're going to have left over a period of time, 25-year retirement. So if you look at someone does 100% bond, is guaranteed to have nothing left after 25 years of retirement. If that's the first column, bizarre, right? Someone that's, let's say, mostly bonds, 80% bonds, 20% stocks of investment, 1% left, right? 60-40, you see difference, 6%, right? 90, right? If you look at the difference, right? 40 and 60, 20, 80, 100% stocks, you have at least 25% left. So this is why investment has to be a major, major, major part of your your retirement strategy. Is a major part of your retirement strategy. So you can't, unfortunately, when you retire, you can't go conservative. You can't do it. You can't afford to go conservative. You can't afford to put your money in bonds. You can't afford you can't afford to do that because it's gonna bite you later on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do not listen. This is why you have to listen to advisors, to someone that's gonna guide you towards that process. This is why having an advisor is very important. You can't do things on your own because you're not gonna. Most people don't even understand that, don't even know that, and they're not gonna do things on their own, and they end up being. Then it's too late. By the time you get someone, it's too late because you run out of money. You can't do anything. Right? For example, when you're already retired to make withdrawal for retirement, say, what which assets do you spend first, right? Generally, to make your money last longer, a good rule of thumb is to spend down your assets in the following order, like taxable assets. So if you have mutual funds, taxable assets like non-qualified mutual funds that are non-retirement plans, guess what happens? Because you pay taxes each year on the dividends and capital gains, right? See, by spending these assets first, your retirement assets continue to grow tax-free, tax-deferred, tax-free. So if someone has mutual funds, right, they can have some money in mutual funds and they have money like in IRAs and different tax-deferred accounts. Start spending that money first, and that's in mutual funds. That's not in retirement plans, right? Start spending that money first, right? Then guess what happens? And why? Because you're only going to pay dividends on that. You're only going to pay dividends. You're not going to pay income on this. You're going to pay capital gains tax, which is not a lot. And especially if you kept it for a long period of time, it could be a lot less. Makes sense? Which is smart. The second thing is tax deferred, like now IRAs, variable annuities. Now that's the next category that you spend down, right? And guess what happened? Because you want these accounts to grow tax deferred for as long as possible, you'll pay taxes on these assets upon withdrawal. Right? Makes sense. Then the tax-free asset, then the last one is tax-free. If you have Roth IRAs, you pay that last.
Okay.
Makes sense? That's when you can spend these assets less because they contribute, grow, so they can keep growing tax-free for as long as possible. These assets are withdrawn also tax-free. So number one, you take it, you take from mutual funds, right? You take them from mutual funds, which is, let's say, regular mutual fund that's not a qualified accounts. You take that first because you're only going to pay capital gains tax on that, right? When you take dividend, capital gains tax. The next thing you start taking from your, let's say, 401ks. If you have 401k or IRAs or annuities, you start taking that money. Then the last one is Roth IRAs, because while those Roth IRAs still growing tax deferred, when you take the money out, it's tax free. So the income that later on in the future, you pay zero taxes on it.
That makes sense. You don't want to do the opposite. You want to do it taxable first.
Exactly, 100%, which is the right way to make sure you can live longer. Make sense?
Yeah, because if not, it's like you're throwing money down the toilet.
Absolutely.
You do the tax-free one first. So good.
Those are strategies you need to have. Okay, now what do you do? One thing that's important for you not to take so much, right? Early enough, you have to create a spending account, like an account designed for 6 to 12 months worth of living expense in the money market. So you can start taking, so you have flexibility to withdrawals from your retirement accounts when market conditions are most advantageous, right? This can help shield against market risk by not having to withdraw significant amounts of money during bear markets. So if you put money like an emergency account, like a money market account, guess what happens? When the market's let's say you're in a bear market where the market is going down a little bit, you don't have to take that much money out. So you're now withdrawing from what? Not only if the market goes down, now you're withdrawing from that. So that's like you lose two ways. So to give you a chance for the market your money to go back up. So you start taking money, spending account, emergency account. This way, you safeguard certain things, right? Which is the right way to do, right? Bottom line is you don't want to outlive your money. So you have to make sure you carefully consider how much you withdraw and which assets you withdraw first. And with the right strategy, you can make sure you have enough to live comfortable to your retirement years.
Yes.
Right? So those are strategies that's important to use, right? Now, what's the solution to wrap it up? What are some of the things that people use for the save and invest money, right? Number one is it's always going to be the same. There are a variety of retirement solutions to help you make the most out of your money to live retirement. Mutual funds is one of them, right? Professional money management, we talked about that. Investors, right? Various stocks, short-term money, right? That's important. Manage accounts. We talk manage accounts to investment platform, which is a more sophisticated investing profile, which is important, right? Where you have different investments, right? Which is very important to do that. And also variable annuity, which is long-term contracts, which are guarantees. There's some benefits, some guarantees to it, and some of them guarantee income. A lot of variable annuities are very beneficial to guarantee income for retirement. So it's a way, for example, for someone to be able to have a certain amount of money invested, and they can get a guaranteed income for the rest of their lives. So they can get a pension. So their money can create a pension stream for them, right? In other words, and a lot of annuities have a clause in them that, listen, even if you run out of money, the company is still gonna give you money. You never run out of money. So there's benefits as a ways to use that. And also on top of that, there's annuities that we call that have buffer annuities, right? Which, like for example, it allows for people to, how can I say that, they want to take advantage of the growth of the market, like we showed you that you need to take advantage of growth of the market, right? So they can take advantage of the growth of the market without taking any other risk. Because a lot of those buffers, if you keep for a period of time, if the market goes down during that 6-year time frame, for example, you don't lose anything. So you have your money's protected. You have principal protection, right?
Wow.
And a lot of them have no fees. Sometimes they have no yearly fees to it. So that could be a strategy that people can use to be able to take advantage of growth without if they're afraid of the risk. So there's so many strategies that people can use, but you have to speak to someone that's an investment licensed to do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Let me tell you what's not there. IULs, Index Universal Life. That's not a retirement strategy. That's not an investment retirement strategy. It's not. Okay? I'm going to say it again. It's not. IUL, Index Universal, is not an investment retirement strategy. As a matter of fact, it's an investment retirement strategy for the people that sell you the policies so they can make more money on your money and they can actually fund their own retirement.
Yes.
Or for companies to make more money. It's not for you as an individual to save for your retirement. That should be in no aspect of any retirement strategy you have. It's mutual funds. Very simple. Mutual funds should be part. Managed accounts should be part also for some people that might be a fit, and also annuities because it gives you protection and guaranteed income. That's it. That's it. Okay, so those are things that we want people to know, that as you're thinking about retirement, whether it's 5, 10, 15 years, there's a lot of things to consider. And it's better to consider early than later on.
Yes, yes, yes. So good. Listen, we are so appreciative of the knowledge that you share with us here and the wisdom. I'm sitting here listening to you and some parts, because it's a lot of information. I'm like, okay, wait, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that part. But I love that you have this catalog that even if I need to go back 3 years from now and say, I know Bernard spoke about this, I can go and find this episode. And yes, here goes my husband again. Great lesson. Although scary, but definitely important. But that's what we want. We want somebody to show us, to teach us the real deal, raw and true, without sugarcoating. And then there's a big mistake, and years from now, we were never protected because someone didn't want to hurt our feelings.
Absolutely. It's a reality, and I've seen it happen time and time again. I realize those mistakes that people make. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen. Like, oh my gosh! But I'm like, if we had caught early enough, or they had someone, or it would avoid that situation. But people need to know, and the earliest you get to find out, the better off you are.
So good. Thank you so much for being our coach. We appreciate you. Listen, folks, we are so excited. We were just chatting behind the scenes before we went live on what's happening in Instagram, on Facebook and YouTube, and looking at those numbers. And we are so excited that you guys are really logging on and looking at the posts and engaging with us. We do have an announcement. We have a new date, Bernard, coming in August.
Yes, in August, we're going to switch the times to Wednesdays, 8 p.m. instead, right?
Yes. So it's the same time, but it's a different day. So you'll be joining us on Wednesdays at 8. So you see that scrolling below. You'll see that there during the next few episodes, just to remind you, put it on your calendar, get that on there so that you can be reminded to join us every Wednesday at 8. It's going to be great.
In August, not now, in August. July, we're still in.
Yes, we still have a couple more weeks. And again, we're getting closer to our 100th episode, and we cannot wait to celebrate that. Thank you all so much for joining us. Bernard, I'll see you next Tuesday right here.
Looking forward to it. Yes.
All right. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Army Empire podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Join us next week for another exciting edition, and until then, keep building your empire.